Hi, friends, and welcome back to Brave New Frontier, the podcast where we talk about the rise of the self made creator, the remote revolution, and new tools redefining how we work and how they have opened doors that never existed before. You can get in line and wait for someone to permit you in, or you can find your own freedom your way. Brave New Frontier is for those who refuse to be ignored, for the ones who get knocked down and get back up smarter and stronger. Dear listener, that is you. That is me, and that is our guest today, the lovely and amazing Miss Allison Spooner, author of The Lost Girl, a Neverland novel, which is awesome, as well as her latest novel, All the Things We Cannot Change, which is also awesome. Both tearjerkers. Hi, Allison. How are you doing?
Hi there, I'm great, and I absolutely love that intro.
Yeah, hey, I didn't write it. That was my boss, so I'll tell him that you like that.
Well,
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to talk to you today to hear about you and your independent publishing and your books and how you're tackling everything. So let me start out with the question. What is a recent event that actually, you know what? Let's start at the beginning. Tell me about your origin story. Tell me about the first thing that kind of launched you forward into this journey as an author and as an independently publishing author.
yeah, I love telling the stories and a lot of like presentations that I do too. I mean, really, my origin story is I've been writing since before I could hold a pen or a pencil or even write. Like my mom, I dictated my first story and my mom wrote it down for me. That's like how early I was like, oh, tell the story. And it was just basically like, today I hit my brother and now I want to sing Jingle Bells. And so I did. So that's like way far back, but a little further down the road. So I always knew I wanted to be a writer. I knew I wanted to be a published writer. I knew I wanted to write a book, have it in bookstores, on bookshelves, etc. So I did, all the things I tried to write. I had a lot of stories, little stories I wrote, and then wrote a novel in middle school, wrote more in high school, took on, and then the real world happened, got jobs, all that jazz. And then like I was constantly writing, but I hadn't like written a book yet. I hadn't found that big idea. I could not like settle on something that I could take all the way through and make it a novel. And then I like hit a really bad bout of writer's block. Like I just was really frustrated. So I didn't want to write anymore. I couldn't think of any good ideas. I just was starting to really get discouraged. And then that started to mess with my whole identity because I knew I wanted to be a writer. But if I wasn't writing, like who was I? And, all the things that happen to writers because we're all a little neurotic.
That is so true.
So I was really, really struggling. And then I found, because I was putting all this pressure on myself too, like if I didn't have a book, I wasn't a writer. If I wasn't published, I wasn't a writer. If I didn't have a trilogy, I wasn't a writer. I did come up with an idea for a book, and then like I got really far and I was like, you know what, this should be a trilogy. And then that just completely derailed me because that's a huge undertaking for someone who has never like really finished anything. So really just was piling it on to myself. And then I discovered a couple different things, a local event called Fiction 440 and some online writing contests, and both kind of focused on writing shorter fiction. For Fiction 440 was writing fiction in 440 words. So a whole story in 440 words. They give you 3 words you have to include in the story, and then you go and read it at the event. And it's just fun and everybody shares. It's not a critique group or anything, and everybody shares and a lot of people weren't even writers. So it was just fun sharing, what we all came up with.
Sounds so fun.
It was really neat. It's still going on. I try to go whenever I can, but and also some online writing contests, one called NYC Midnight, and that's still going on, so you can look it up. They give you a prompt. It takes place over a weekend, so you get a prompt on like Friday at midnight, and you have to turn in your story using the prompt they give you by like Sunday at midnight. And they have a flash fiction version and a short story version. So if it's flash, it's 1,000 words. If it's their short story, it's like 2,500 or something. So I was like, you know what? I'm not writing anyway. I'm not writing on my own. So I'll start doing these. And long story short, having those things, those parameters, the word limit, the prompt, the tight deadlines, you have to have this done by this point, you have the motivation of sharing it with someone, like all of those things kind of combined. And I started finishing things. I was like, okay, now I have this story. Now I have this story. Now I have this story. Like, I like this idea. I like this idea. I like this idea. But I was still kind of like down on myself because I'd never written a book. I'm like, I don't have a book. I'm not a writer. I have all these stories, but I don't have a book. And then I don't know what made me realize it, what made me look at it. But after a long time of doing this, I looked down and I was like, I do have a book. I have all these stories. And that was when kind of self-publishing was becoming a lot easier, a lot more attainable. KDP was a thing. I think it had just shifted from Amazon Create to actual like KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. And I was like, you know what? I do have books.
Yeah.
I have these stories that I can combine. And I knew that, yeah, a traditional publisher might not take them. They don't generally take short story collections unless you're like Stephen King or already established. But I was like, I have this freedom to publish these stories. And so I did. I, did a little research. I figured it out. I put them together and I published through KDP. And then I had more stories and I kept writing stories. And so I published another collection. So then I had two collections. And finally, I had been kind of playing with this idea about Peter Pan's great granddaughter. And I think I had written it in like those shorter chunks at first. And I was like, no, like this one is bigger. Like this one is not going to be told in little 440 or 1,000 word sections. And so that was kind of what got the ball rolling, like what got me writing when I'd been stuck and what gave me kind of the bug to keep publishing and gave me the freedom to say that like, yes, a traditional publisher might not want this, but like that doesn't matter. I can publish it anyway. Like other people want to read this. And so like luckily I have this ability to publish on my own and do it. So it's a really long answer to that question.
No, I love it. I love hearing stories like that. And I love how you said, a traditional publisher may not want this. That doesn't matter. Because I feel like so many people, it's really easy for them to think like, oh, I don't have like a really obvious kind of predetermined market that people are already into. And it's like, that does not matter. You have a market, it's out there. You just might need to do it yourself because whether it's traditional publishing or any other type of creative endeavor that requires someone else to kind of take you on, it unfortunately is a business. So they have to make money. And in order to make money, they're very, very scared of taking risks. The problem is there are people who want those risks. You just have to find them. And so you might have to be the one to do it yourself, even if that requires, the extra work. And so tell me about how you learned about indie publishing. How was that difficult? Did it come as like a breeze? Was it a fun difficult? Was it a slog?
All the things. All I think it's easier than people think it is. For one, I think it's easier to learn those things than people think it's going to be because, especially KDP, like whatever you think about Amazon, pros, cons, whatever, they make it simple. They
Yes.
do. And all of the instructions are right on their page. You can literally look through their glossary and it's like to do this, do this, do this, do this. And so like if you really wanted to, you could just go to KDP and find all the instructions you need. So when I see people like posting in groups and asking all these questions and like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I'm like, you can just Google it. Like you can find it. The answer is out there. But it is overwhelming because sometimes you don't even know what to ask, right? And so that's the other part. So yes, you can Google. KDP has all the instructions. The instructions are all out there, but you can also rely on communities. There are so many communities out there that will help you. Facebook communities, TikTok now communities. TikTok now, it's not called TikTok. Now there are lots of TikTok communities where you can get the answers. So, just knowing that all you have to do is kind of put the question out there or Google it and you'll find it. I think it's easier to do than people think it is. They think it's going to be really hard to find these answers. But at this point, especially, the answers are out there, YouTube, all the places. So, and then once you do it a couple of times, then it gets easier. The nice thing is I did short story collections. And so those were shorter. They were a little more straightforward than like a novel. I didn't feel like I needed to go as hard in terms of the cover and things like that for short story collections. So I kept it really, really simple just to get started. And I think that's important to remember too, is that like you can keep it simple.
That's
You
true. It's
don't
really
have character art. You don't have to like have all these things. You don't have to have swag. You don't have to have, all the stuff. Get the book first. then worry about the other stuff.
exactly, and I feel like that is something that so many people it can feel so overwhelming and taxing on your budget to, like, feel like, "Oh, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this," and it's like 2 things. One is that there are budget-savvy ways to be able to get something still really, really great, and then the other side of that is, like, test it out on some things yourself first. Like, just like you said, you publish these short stories for others, but also mostly for you, so that you had this collection and to be okay with, the first time I'm going to struggle a little bit more. And from here on out, I'm going to grow, but you have to start. I mean, I look at my first book and I think about how much I've grown as a writer since then. And I'm like, but I did something really cool and I had to start somewhere. So just to like, not have that fear, I think that's really, really great advice. Okay. So you started out with short story collections. Then you started developing a little bit more into a couple of novels. What are your plans for the future? Are you going to continue on with novels? Are you going to go back to short stories? Do you have anything like a trilogy maybe that you're going for eventually? What's your plans for the future?
I have so many things.
Don't we all?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently recording. Well, I just finished recording actually, but putting the finishing touches on the audio for the things we cannot change. Oh, this is so nice with that background.
It does.
It's really bland. So this is my story. It's a fictionalized version of my own story for people that don't know. And so I thought that the best way to approach the recording, the audio version of it, was to do it myself. Like, I am not a professional narrator, but I put a little disclaimer at the beginning, like, please forgive me, but this is my story. I wanted to tell it. Like, there might be some imperfections, but, deal with it.
Right.
But it's my story, and you'll hear me tell it in my genuine voice. So hopefully that makes up for it. So that is in the works. So that will be coming soon. Hopefully by May. I have an event in May that I would like to have it done by so that I can have it on sale there. I would love to dive back into the Neverland world in some way. So while it might not be a trilogy or like a direct sequel, I would love to just hang out in Neverland more, tell more of those stories of the different people in the books, the families, the family connection, and all of that. And I do have another idea for a novel. I haven't started writing it yet, but I'm tweaking it and playing with it. And I'll probably do more, and honestly, I'll probably do more short stories. I
Yeah.
still have more sitting here that I haven't done anything with. So I think I only need a few more to fill out another collection. So I'll probably do that. Honestly, that'll probably come before another novel because that's lower hanging fruit. Like, it's right there. It's
Yeah.
almost all the things. I'll just keep creating, keep writing, keep doing the things.
Pretty and you know what? That's the best. It's just, one day at a time, one step at a time. New opportunities are always presenting themselves or not presenting themselves in ways that you never expected. So I'm for one excited to see where you keep going from here. Okay. Now, so we talked about the past, we talked about the future. Let's talk about now. And also, you mentioned in your notes a very interesting topic that I want to hear your take on. It's a hot topic, AI. Tell me.
Yes. So I guess that is kind of something I'm working on for the future. And this is kind of a very controversial thing to say right now. I am working on a tool, an AI tool for writers, but it is a sweet kind of little AI writing assistant. So I fully agree that you should not use AI to write for you. AI is not going to write for you. It's not good.
No, it is not.
No, I've tried
No, it is not.
little LinkedIn posts and like things like that. And if you want it to get to that point, you have to be really, really good. You have to know how to
Mhm.
train it. You have to know what kind of prompts to give it. That's a whole other thing. So when I talk about using AI, I'm always talking about it in terms of using it in a way that will help you, that will help you move forward and do the things that you might need some extra help with, but not right for you, to give you more freedom to do the writing that you want to do. It can help with marketing, it can help with those things. Be very careful in terms of creating images, all of that stuff. I'm not trying to say use it to create images, use it to create for you. But I have I have a suite of writing tools, and they can help you edit. They can help you. They're going to come up with it can come up with writing prompts like I've talked about, because that's something that helps me. It can, well, there's one specifically that, like, if you upload a paragraph or two or a chapter, it can identify overused words.
Nice.
There's a historical accuracy checker. So you can basically just sit and have a conversation about it. I did a whole conversation like, I want to have a story where these things happen. What time period would make the most sense for something like that? And it will tell me, and I'll be like, oh, okay, well, what kinds of things might be happening during that time period that could affect the story? Or I want to have an 80, my next character is going to be 80. What kinds of things would have happened during her childhood that would impact her as an adult? So you can just have these conversations with it. So I'm trying to figure out ways to use AI productively, not creatively.
Right.
Not to do the creative stuff for you. Because by the time, even if it does write something for you, like sometimes I use it just to get me started. By the time I've taken that and I've been like, well, I don't like that, but that's a really good line. That's a really good sentence. This is a good idea. By the time you do what you want to do with that writing anyway, it's not going to be what AI wrote for you.
Well, yeah, not even close.
So be careful. Yes. Be aware. Yes. But I think we all have to learn about it. We can't be afraid of it. We can be nervous about it. Be cautious about it, yes. But to be cautious, we have to understand it. We have to understand how it works. We have to understand the ways that we can use it to move forward, to help us move forward. Because if we don't, we're going to get left behind. If people have said, I don't want to use a computer, I'm sticking to my typewriter,
I was thinking the same thing.
you'd be screwed right now.
Right.
There's a typewriter yesterday. I posted a little TikTok today. I went to a typewriter exhibition yesterday, and I'm sitting on that thing like what?
My fingers are not this strong. I always picture their hands just like muscled and buff from trying to push down these keys. I'm like, I have these delicate little keys right here.
Is my computer. But if we always reject the latest technology because it's scary or because we're used to the other thing, we're going to get left behind. So we have to embrace AI, but we have to embrace it in a way that's going to work for us, that's going to make room for the creative to create. And that's kind of what I'm playing with too at the moment, among all the other things.
That is really awesome. And yeah, it's easy to think about the latest technology as like, oh, that's cheating. You know, that's a thing that I've heard a lot of people say. And I'm like, well, at one point in time, people thought writing was cheating. Writing itself. Nobody wanted to write because they thought that was just a lazy mind that didn't want to remember things, that was going to, you know, replace the living, breathing human speech. And I don't know what Plato would have thought of the computer systems and Microsoft Word, but and so you know, it's I love what you said, where it is a tool to allow the creative to create, because you're absolutely right. The minute that you start using AI to actually write a novel, hey, it's just bad. Like when people say, you know, AI is going to replace creatives. I'm like, no, it is not, because it can't actually create anything worth paying attention to. But when you use it to do the other minuscule little things that nobody wants to do and that are not part of the creative task, then that frees up your brain. It frees up your space to make something really, really beautiful. And so, yeah, I love the way that you phrase that. I love the way that you explain it. I love your approach to it. And that's so cool that you are working with it. I definitely want to hear more about that at any point in time that you're ready to share more.
Yeah, well, I talk about it on my TikTok. I need early users. Right now is kind of a push. I'm looking for early users to get in there and then kind of become, I don't know, an ambassador, do like a wow, I cannot think of the word, affiliate kind of deal for it. So if you use it and you get more users, like, you can use it for free. Just get me this many more, you know, things like that. So I'm looking for that. And I, like, you said something that may like triggered my brain. I just wanted to add one more thing. The people who don't learn it and don't use it, oh, you were saying it can't replace you. If you don't learn it and you don't figure out how to use it in a way that works, you will get replaced. It can replace you, and it will. if you don't figure out how to use it in a way that works for you. I'm not
True.
talking about writers in general, just a lot of different, there's a lot of different areas where marketers, I think, is a really good example. A marketer can learn to use AI to help them. And if they don't, the people that are using it to do their job faster and better
Yep.
are the people that are going to keep moving forward, and you will get replaced.
Yep.
It's just the truth. And I don't think that's something that people want to hear a lot right now. It's just a really, really hard truth to hear. And I think that's that's gonna be my new branding in the coming months and years, is just hard truths that writers
Yeah.
and creatives and self-published authors like don't want to hear. I'm just gonna be
It's like, but you have to hear it because we don't want people to be left behind. So we're sharing this with you like, look, I really want you to succeed. I want you to do your best. And this is how we do that now. This is a new tool. This is like a new, I don't know, medicine, I suppose. It's just a new thing that is going to help you reach your potential faster and more.
faster and better.
Well, that is absolutely wonderful. I think that is so much exciting stuff to leave our listeners to think about. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. You're going to hear from me. You are going to hear from me about that, about trying out that system that you got going on, because that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love it.
I love it too. And dear listeners, friends, thank you so much for being here today. If you enjoyed this video, maybe you should check out one of our older ones too. Try out another one. If you are interested in hearing about another writer, you could listen to our recent videos on SQ McGrath, who is another indie author. If you are just looking for authors in general, trailblazers, all kind of, well, all of us, all of the people that we interview are trailblazers, but another author would be Miss Autumn Krause, or just go ahead and check out our backlist and just skim. Just look and see, oh yeah, not skim, browse. Go ahead and browse. See which one interests you. We would love to have you, and we would also love to have you subscribe so that you get alerted every time that we come up with a new video with another awesome creative, just like Miss Allison Spooner here. Yeah, stay creative, y'all. Bye-bye.